We're really excited to have added Jèrriais, our special local language, to an app called uTalk. We're delighted about this because it's very difficult to get heritage languages, which are minority spoken, onto such commercial sites. So uTalk have really embraced our cause to revitalise Jèrriais and added Jèrriais as the 150th language to their site.
One way that communities find identity is through a common language. Jersey, of course, has its own unique language which reflects the island's geographical and historical bonds with its close Norman neighbour. And yet Jèrriais is in danger of dying out. But there is a small but growing number of people determined to keep Jèrriais alive, and islanders can now learn it online via an award-winning app following work by l'Office de Jèrriais and the language learning platform uTalk. For the first time, Jèrriais will be on a global app which is similar to Duolingo, and islanders can now use one of 5,000 signing codes to subscribe for free. Jèrriais teacher Susan Parker joins me now to explain more. Susan, tell me, what has been launched?
We're really excited to have added Jèrriais, our special local language, to an app called uTalk. We're delighted about this because it's very difficult to get heritage languages, which are minority spoken, onto such commercial sites. So uTalk have really embraced our cause to revitalise Jèrriais and added Jèrriais as the 150th language to their site, and that's a website and app.
So tell me a little bit more about uTalk. I've heard of Duolingo. Is it a similar sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a very similar sort of thing. So Duolingo is so commercial that they wouldn't really touch such a small language because they won't be able to profit from it. But we're really lucky that uTalk doesn't really view languages like that. They think all languages are equally important, and they've invested a lot of time in working with us and other languages all across the British Isles and around the world to make sure that these special languages are recorded. And now you can use their app to learn any language through any of their other languages, which is quite unique. Whereas I believe that Duolingo, mostly languages learnt through English, and we recognise that not everybody is a native English speaker and may not wish to learn that way. So uTalk's really special in that respect.
So just tell me on a practical level how it will work. So I want to sign up. Tell me, I'll go online, I'll click on the app.
Yeah.
Presumably I learn with some basic early words and then build up cumulatively.
Yeah, we've got a special process in place actually for that. So the Jèrriais Teaching Service is delighted to be providing 5,000 totally free codes to access uTalk for free for life. So this is saving about £40 a year for potential users. So the path to follow is to go to our website, which is learnjèrriais.org.je. Then on there you'll see a little icon of the uTalk logo. Click there, a super short form to fill in with just a name and email address, and that takes you straight through to uTalk, and you will not be charged. And that's the easiest way to access our app. Now, once you're in there, we're actually providing access for free to 10 languages, the most spoken languages in Jersey, including Portuguese, Romanian, French, German, Spanish, Italian, and Jèrriais, obviously. So you can use the app to learn any of those languages from any of the others, if that makes sense. So if you're a native Portuguese speaker, you can choose Portuguese as your source language and learn Jèrriais from there.
So give me the sales pitch. Why do people want to, or why would you like to see people picking up the basics of Jèrriais?
This is a beautiful language that's really important to this island. It's a key part of its heritage and history, and it's precious and it's unique. It's not spoken anywhere else in the world. We just find that incredible as linguists, that we've got an island 9 by 5 and we've got a language that's not spoken anywhere else in the world. And if we're not careful, we will lose it. Once a language is extinct, it's a bit like burning down a museum. It's lost all its history and the very special stories and folklore that come with it. So our native speakers are precious, but their numbers are declining, and we need to take action really quickly. And it will work. There is precedent for this. So the Manx language in the Isle of Man was declared extinct in the 1970s. It's taken them an awful long time to revitalise it, but it has worked. So we do have precedent that if you invest the time and money, and you also have the will of the people, that you can keep these minority languages alive. I mean, not everyone agrees. Some people say it's a natural thing. Just let it go. If it dies out, so be it. Nobody speaks it anyway. Now, that is a view, and that's fair enough, but our view is that we wouldn't say that about general history of the island. We wouldn't say, Elizabeth Castle is crumbling, let's just leave it. We need to work together to keep these precious things alive. Do we expect people to be walking around in the streets speaking Jèrriais again? Maybe not, but we need to keep it in the public consciousness. We've got children now who are saying hello and goodbye, bonjour, Abby. Every time we go into schools, I think there is a real positive feel about this now. And that may have been one of the positives to come out of the COVID period, that islanders and residents have come to really appreciate what's special about Jersey, including Jèrriais.
Just tell me, what would you like to see in your mind's eye? Would it be a case of perhaps families meeting each other greeting each other with a little bit of Jèrriais, or perhaps friends having a short conversation in pubs to share a few words? Is that the sort of level at the moment, and then hopefully it'll build after that?
Exactly, that's exactly what we're hoping for. So already we have so many learners in schools who are going home to their families and saying the words they know, like "Comment tu es?" "How are you?" "Je suis magnifique," "I'm great," in Jèrriais, especially if they've got native speakers in their family. We found that's really provided a little bond between grandchildren and grandparents, that they can communicate in this special language that others in their family may not understand. The other thing that's been really lovely is we teach about the parishes and the history of the parish crests and who the parishes are named after, which isn't always understood by people. And some of my students who are young point out that there's a couple of buses that have all the parishes labelled on there all around the bus signage in Jèrriais, and they can read them all out when they see them, and their parents are picking up on that now. So it's kind of like raising it into people's consciousness. So yeah, little chats to start with. And that's how these things start, and just keeping it alive and cherished, really, to be honest, because it is really special.
We've got the Island Identity Project that the government have initiated, and presumably Jèrriais, our language, is very much part of that. Do you think that there is a new appetite for a sense of place, a sense of pride, a sense of purpose in coming from Jersey and being part of the island community?
I really hope so. We feel it. We think so. So yeah, Jèrriais has been part of two quite important strategies lately, the Island Identity Project and the language policy, to do with celebrating all languages that are spoken by school students in all school settings. So Jèrriais is kind of at the heart of both of those things. Are people proud to live here? I hope so. We've got a very diluted population now, haven't we? And so that's the same all over the UK. But when you live here, you have a chance to be part of something that is unique. And the language is an important part of that as well. And we hope that people are appreciating that now, possibly more than they have done recently.
How is the Jèrriais teaching service and the wider effort? How are you tapping into the native speakers, those that speak beautiful Jersey French, as they always have? Yeah.
So it's possible to meet local native speakers every day of the week, actually. So we have what we call conversation cafes every day of the week. And so if we want to speak to a native speaker quickly, that's the best way of doing it. And those are all over the island, from St Martin's Village Tea Room to Jersey Pearl in St Juan, and also at Jersey Museum, the Adelphi Pub, and at Santander Work Cafe, literally every weekday. There's a group of Jèrriais speakers who are really active, for example, the ones who are involved in the Eisteddfod. So we speak to them quite often, because the Eisteddfod's proving really popular, actually, at the moment, more so than ever before. And we know also that there are a number of Jèrriais speakers who aren't really actively involved in our community. So that's why it's quite difficult to estimate how many speakers there are, because we know that there's quite a lot who are active, but there's many more who aren't. Like the other day, I was at a care home called Le Petit Bosque in St Lawrence, and there was a lady there who has a touch of dementia and is a Jèrriais speaker. And I was so proud to be able to speak to her in Jèrriais for the first time. That's the first time I've met someone new and been able to do that. And she just beamed with pride that someone was speaking to her in her language. We didn't communicate very much, but I think that's really important. And I hope that's we start to do that, and we start to actually respect those people for the language that they used to speak, because they weren't made to feel super proud of their language in the past, but we hope they are now.
And what are their thoughts and feelings about this new effort? For instance, the launch of the app. Are they encouraging of this as I say, your work and your enthusiasm?
They are the most amazing group of people. It's just a joy to be able to learn their language from them and hear their stories about the past. They're super positive about this. They know that digital learning is the way forward. So we had a team of really dedicated native speakers who helped us to translate the 2,500 words and phrases that are going on the app. And then after that, we had two specific native speakers, Jean Lemaitre and Audrey Lucas, who lent us a lot of their time in February to be the voices of the app, so that there's a male voice and a female voice. And they have similar accents as well, which is quite important for uTalk, that accents are consistent across all the vocabulary and phrases. So they couldn't be more encouraging. They're just delighted that kind of the cause has been recognised, and myself and my colleagues are working really hard to keep Jèrriais revitalised.
The native speakers probably are older members of the community. Tell me a little bit about the reception from younger members when you go into schools.
It's so positive, to be honest. Like, it's overwhelming. I think when people go, oh, children don't like learning languages, that's not been my experience. They really love it. They love learning about where they live, whether they've just moved here or whether they were born here. They show the same level of interest. And we don't just do pure language lessons. We kind of integrate it with history, geography, dancing, singing, it's really quite a diverse course that we're able to offer. So we call that Allons to Jèrriais at primary level, which means around Jersey. And at secondary level, we call it Our Island, so that, we adapt it a little bit. But it's things like there's great ghost stories and so much to engage young people. They love it, and they don't question why it's important to learn it. We do explain that the numbers are dwindling, and we call it like Mission Save Jèrriais and keep it all really upbeat and exciting. And we've actually kind of it's a nod to the model in Wales, where it also has been really successful, just keeping the narrative really positive about this is so special, and we're all on board to learn it and carry on, rather than being cross that it's been lost so much already. And that really seems to resonate with children. And then, of course, if children enjoy their learning, parents are happy to see that too. So it's been super positive. Honestly, the last couple of years have shown a real change in the attitude towards Jèrriais.
And presumably we live in a multicultural society. It's not just young children from long-standing Jersey families whose grandparents might speak Jersey French. It's not just them. Is it fair to say that it's across the whole range of communities in Jersey? Absolutely.
And maybe that would be a surprise to some people, because we find that some of our most engaged learners aren't from here. I remember last year in a school, a lad who clearly spoke Portuguese at home said he was so proud to be able to speak the language that was spoken in this island where he's growing up, and he was teaching it to his parent. We also find some of our most gifted learners are not mother tongue English speakers. So Polish and Portuguese speakers pick up Jèrriais really quickly because they've got a natural ear for languages anyway. So, on the contrary, actually, which is maybe surprising, that yes, people who have Jèrriais in their family may have a vested interest, but we're finding that those who are more recent moves to the island are super interested as well.
You've already mentioned about some of the practicalities of how you got the language and the words onto the uTalk platform. So how many, just remind me, how many words are up there?
So there's 60 topics altogether, and there's 2,500 words and phrases. So we're calling it beginner Jèrriais. You're not going to be able to write an essay in Jèrriais by the time you've completed all the content, but you'll definitely be able to hold your own in most settings. And the topics range everything from restaurants to sport and everything in between. And all the topics are consistent across the languages on the platform, which is what makes it possible to move in and out of different languages quite easily. There's games to play, and you can earn uCoins, they call them, which unlocks other languages as well without charge. So it's a really fun, interactive, modern resource for the future of Jèrriais learning.
With another parallel effort that seems to be growing is the strengthening of links with France, particularly picking ourselves up perhaps after the difficulties of the fishing crisis. Is there similarities between French and Jersey French? Can learning one help you learn the other?
Definitely. So I used to be a French teacher, and I found learning Jèrriais much easier because of that. I'd say I can see similarities in up to 70% of the languages for French specifically and Jèrriais, but particularly Norman. So the Norman language Jèrriais' heritage is the Norman language, so it's really similar. So the island has links with the Parleur Normand, and they're hopefully going to be further involved, maybe joining the app themselves one day.
Tell me about the wider work of the Jèrriais teaching service and how you tap into other cultural events and historical events in Jersey.
Mm-hmm. So autumn is a really busy period for us. So this autumn term, we'll find ourselves involved with the Corn Riots activities, which although we don't have a bank holiday this time, there's still lots of fun things going to be going on that weekend at the end of September. There's also the Festival of Words. So, Jersey has a literary history also. So we'll be involved in that, and we'll be launching a new book that's been translated by one of my colleagues that weekend. Soon after that, I think there's the Black Butter Festival at the National Trust property, the Elms, which is amazing, long-standing event that we're involved in. And then we also work with Jersey Heritage at the Cider Festival, Fazy to Siege at Hampton, which takes place in October. So those are particularly busy times of the year for us. And throughout the year, we take school trips to the heritage sites because we think it's really important that we can combine the history and the language together and give the children a really rich learning experience when we take them to sites like the Hugby and Montorgueil Castle.
And much like the language, do you see an encouraging appetite for more discovery and knowledge around Jersey's history, around its past, its culture?
Certainly, that's definitely what we see. I mean, I know we only see a small amount of, what happens in schools, and they're such busy places, but we've had a really warm reception everywhere we've been, and the children really enjoy it, and they really enjoy getting out and about. Like, for example, Grouville School had a lovely trip recently to the Hugby, and my colleague Charlie Lemaitre told them the story fully in Jèrriais of the legend of the Hugby, Le Seigneur et le Dragon, and we enjoyed Jersey Wonders from the Jersey Wonder, and it was really lovely experience. And that's a cultural experience, not just a language experience.
Now, just remind me, because it's worth reminding, that am I right in saying there's 5,000 free codes for the uTalk app?
Absolutely.
So just remind me about how people can take advantage of the free codes and save themselves £40.
So the process we've made as easy as possible. You go to our website, which is learnjèrriais.org.je. You click on the logo that says uTalk. There's a tiny form to fill in with an email address and a password, I think, or a name and an email address. And then you go through to uTalk, and then you're asked to set up your uTalk account there, and you won't be charged, and you'll be able to download uTalk for free at the end of that.
And how significant is this on the learning journey for Jèrriais, the adoption of an international app?
Oh, we think it's a huge development. Like, there's only so many people that we can teach. There's 7 fully qualified teachers, and we are doing our best and working really hard. But the audience we can reach is limited. And now we have a potentially global audience who can access these amazing, modern, interactive, fun, actually, resources forever. So, yeah, I think this is a really big turning point for the future of Jèrriais.
Susan, thanks very much. And perhaps you can just finish it off by greeting everyone in Jèrriais.
I'll say goodbye then, if that's okay, because it's the end. À la prochaine. Merci, bonne défait.
Thanks to Susan Parker for talking with me today. And thank you for listening to the Bailiwick Podcast. You can find the podcast on all the usual pod places. And don't forget to like and share. The music at the beginning and end of this podcast is I Shift My Weight by Luno. Tune in next week for more.